Are you learning anything on my channel yet? I hope you are. Okay. Yeah. Oop, that popped up. That's kind of cool. You can put your trash bags up in there or whatever. See, I've already slid it out a little bit. Maybe I should make it this flush with the face frame like that, and then see, I could attach a screw or something and kind of slide that over, because right now this side's tight up against the edge. This side has about a 3/16 gap. So if I were to push that over just a little bit, it's just wobbling like that. It's not a wheel or anything down here that needs to be shimmed up or the floor is off or anything. You know, I could do something like that. And let's just see. I'll keep the camera rolling, so you know there's no funny business going on. Let's just see what happens right there. Okay. And I think that's how it's really supposed to be, is this kind of flush and not sticking way out like I was initially saying. But see, because it's all floppy like that, and because I was in there, can you see why the drawer kept hitting all the time, right? And see, there's a little bit of a fudge on here too, just a little bit of a slop. But if now, because this edge is not going to wiggle, so to speak, I can probably put a screw in over here, drill a hole through here, put a sheetrock screw in there into the side of this cabinet, let's say, and suck it over, and then, you know, maybe put another one over there or something, or maybe even two and two after I get it pushed over. I probably won't even have to use any shims. I could just take the screw it in a little bit, screw it in a little bit more, and then put two there and maybe one or two over there, and just use the screws and no shims. I don't even really think I need to have any shims, you know. And then that should keep this straight, or at least it should keep it a lot better than how it was before. Okay? So I think I'm ready. I think I know where I want that now. I can pull this out again, lift it up. You see, it's got a little lip right down there at the bottom, right down there, and that goes up over the wheel, and then I can lift up over that and get it out of there. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, I was hoping there might be some little screw holes in here that I could use, but there's not. Of course there's not. It wouldn't be that easy for Joe, would it? Yeah, that's just never the case. This thing looks like it needs to be pushed there. It's a little loose on that. I don't know if I can fix that. So if I push that up tight, then I know that's flush, because this side's flush already, see? So I don't have to push the whole thing back in there or whatever. I think that's going to be fine where that is. So I think my next step is I'm just going to drill a hole in here, and I'm going to put a sheetrock screw in there. Okay? So I just look on I've got to find my screws, and luckily for me, you know, I just carry a big old box around here, and I've got all kinds of screws in there, and I'll find something. I'll use my little battery operated drill. I've got it all charged, ready to go, so I can drill those holes. Now here's something to realize. Hey, Joe, how long of screws are you going to use for that anyways? Well, generally a side cabinet is no more than a 1/2 inch to 5/8 or 3/4 of an inch long or thick. Now I've got 3 different screws here I dug up. Obviously that one's probably way too short. I've got a longer one and a medium-sized length one. These are just sheetrock screws. These happen to be gold. Okay, but here's my thinking here when I get ready to do this. After I drill the hole, first off, I'm just going to get a drill bit that's just a hair bigger than this, okay? And it'll work for all 3 of them. Okay, but here's what you want to do. When you're attaching something to like a cabinet like this, it's not very thick. This could even be 3/8 material in there. It's very thin. And you might think, well, shoot, if I use a screw, I don't want the screw to come out on the other side by 1/8 of an inch. But then yet, if I put the screw in there, that means I have to be exactly perfect. And the tip of the screw there's really no holding power on the very tip of the screw. So, you know, for a little piece of 3/8 or 1/2 inch, you're only going to get maybe 1/4 inch of your screw holding it, and the last 1/4 inch of your screw, you might only have 2 little thread marks on there or so, and it's not going to be very much. And your thought is, well, if I go out any further, I'm going to have the point sticking out, you know, maybe 1/8 to 1/4 inch over here, and if somebody's reaching down here for something, they could hit their knuckles on it or their fingers on it or whatever. Okay, so what I usually do is I'll take something that I know is going to go way further than that, maybe 1/2 inch beyond there, or even 3/4 of an inch beyond. Okay, then I can grab it with a pair of pliers and I can snap it off, or I can hit it with a hammer, depending where it is or something. I've hit them with a hammer before and just broken them right off. And then you've got the threads all the way through there. You don't have to measure this exactly or anything like that. So, you know, that's probably what I'm going to do, is use this long screw and drive it in there and snap it off. Now again, this one here, this is what I was going to use, and the thing is, it might, if it only sticks out this far, I can't really snap that off. I'd have to have it come out about that far so I can break that off, okay? So, you know what? I might not even use this. I might use something like one of these screws. Well, the thing is, when you get longer screws, you look at the thicknesses of them. See how this one is really thick? This one might be a little tough to snap off. You see how this one, this is a sheetrock screw and it's got fine threads. Some sheetrock screws have fine threads or coarse threads. Coarse threads are like this over here. Now see how much thinner this one is, or it seems to be. I think this one's going to snap off easier than something like that. This one is even kind of in between the 3 on thicknesses. So in fact, I might even use that. But if you're going to use something like that, you see how there's shaft on here? There's no threads there, right? So you have to have it at least longer than that. In fact, when I put this in, I might only just be going to about there, and I'm not going to have any holding power. So see, I may have to rethink that, and I might have to find another screw. Sometimes you can get long screws with the threads all the way up the shaft. Okay? So I might have to dig around for some more screws. There's a tip for you. Now if you're looking around for a 3-inch screw and you might say, hey Joe, all the ones at the store that I see have a shaft like that. You know, then you might have to go with something like this. See how the threads go all the way? Here's another one I found. The threads go all the way. It's a little bit thicker. I might end up even using that. The thing with using a self-tapper, see how this tip has a nice cutter on there? That's for self-tapping. Like if you're drilling through metal. We're not drilling through metal, we're drilling through wood. And the thing is, when you're drilling through wood, depending how far you're going, this tip might be so big that your threads aren't really going to hold very well in wood like they would in metal. So be careful with that. Okay, here's another tip for you. Here's the drill bits that I've got, and when I look at this, if I hold it on there, I might be needing to use this size or this size. But if your drill bit is not perfectly sharp, and if it's slightly dull, or if your metal is really super thick, and I think this metal is pretty stout in here, it may take you too long to think you can drill it with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an 1/8 inch drill bit, and that's about this size right here. It's either this one or that one. And I'm going to use a pilot hole first. Okay, that'll help me get through there. Then I can increase going up with a couple of these, and it'll be much easier to drill this hole. Okay. Sometimes you have to do that first. And I think it's still going to take me a little bit to go through it even with this size, but we'll see.